realize who they are. Her sister Maya, all the way to the left. That's her brother-in-law Tony West, the former Obama era Justice Department official who's not.
Hi, y'all. Hey. Forgive me. I am all just in inauguration mode. I am just super excited right now. Our new vice president is walking down the street on Pennsylvania Avenue, and I am watching.
You talked about her cultural importance.
I told her, girl. I told her. I don't know why she is calling me. I told her what I was doing. So, yeah, I am ready to go live.
A political spouse, a political family, different ages, different races. They did an incredible Zoom conversation with her family. She did right after New Year's, where her from India were part of it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the I See Me bookstore. I'm super excited. I'm sorry, I'm like verklempt right now. Seeing our very first woman and a woman of color as a vice president. Who would have thunk it, right? So I was thinking that all the festivities would be kind of over by now so we could do a later story time, because I just could not bear missing the swearing in ceremony and all of that. So many wonderful things. Hi, everybody. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to check in today, but I'm super excited for those who are. If you are watching me as well as the news coverage, I have more stories that I got from the library. I went and got my library books, and I have more stories. One or two of them I have read already, but that doesn't matter. We're going to read them again. Yes, I'm super, super, super excited. Okay. If you guys are out there watching with me, thank you very much. And, you can always get checked in at the Read to Me Ms Tracey at youtube.com channel. If you have to step away and maybe you've got some other things to do, maybe pick up kids at the other school or whatever, don't worry about it. We will be recording this. And right here on the I See Me bookstore page, as well as on the Read to Me Ms Tracey channel. Okay? Got it? Also, and I hope you guys are really warm out there. But anyway, I have some more stories that I'm going to read on the Read to Me Ms Tracey. This is not going to be read on the I See Me bookstore, but the Read to Me Ms Tracey. Whose boat is this? I'm going to be reading You Give a Pig a White House and Good Night, Trump. All righty. Because I am bipartisan, and definitely so is the I See Me bookstore, but those are the things I will be reading on my channel. And what else? I also have, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. It's time to say hello. Okay, I'm going to turn this down. And I'm just super excited. I remember back in 2008, 2009, being there. Oh, I said I was going to post the pictures of me and Michelle Obama fist bumping. And I went for the inauguration balls and parties and everything for President 44, President Obama. And I got a chance to shake hands with Dr. Jill and Joe Biden, as well as shaking or fist bumping Michelle Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, and shaking hands with the president, former President Barack Obama. What an exciting time in my life. But you know what? I can show you guys this. I will show you real quick here. Don't look at my walls. I'm still working on my walls. Look at that. There we are. Right there. I don't know if you guys can see all of that. That was me. 2009. Oh, Ms Tracey, you're silly. Okay, anywho, y'all. Oh, there she goes. She's taking the stairs. She and her hubby. Now, if it was me taking the stairs, I'd probably fall up the stairs, something goofy like that. Okay, what did I just do with the remote control thingy? Because I will be still stealing looks. Okay, so I have a few books here. So we'll start out with this one right here. This is a brand new book that I got from the St. Louis Public Library. And you know what? One more thing. I'm going to turn on some lights here. Maybe that'll help with the glare. Okay. Here we go. Where she's back. That helped a little bit. Okay, there we go. This book is called The Next President. And I thought that was very apropos for today being January 20th, 2021. And we are watching live the inauguration of our new 46th president, President Joe Biden, and the very first woman and woman of color to be vice president in all of our 6 billion years of this country. Okay, well, it seems like 6 billion years. When George Washington became the first president of the United States, there were 9 future presidents already alive in America, doing things like practicing law and studying medicine. When JFK became the 35th president, there were 10 future presidents already alive in America, doing things like hosting TV shows and learning the saxophone. And right now, today, there are at least 10 future presidents alive in America. They could be playing basketball like Barack Obama, or helping in the garden like Dwight D. Eisenhower. They could be solving math problems or reading books. They could be making art or reading with Read to Me, Ms Tracey in the I See Me bookstore. Or already making change. That's what this book is about. The Next President by Kate Messner and Adam Rex. You ready? The Unexpected Beginnings and Unwritten Future of America's Presidents. Here we go. This country belongs to Ms. Tracey, you, and everybody else out there who are American citizens. The next president. Let's see. Let me turn it a little bit this way to get everybody in the thing. Okay. Oh. Wait.
Digital course materials.
Oh, okay. I thought they were dancing. Oh, the ice skater girl on the Black Lives Matter thingy. Okay. I thought, I hope I didn't miss Andre Day performing. Oh, shoot. Okay, there we go. 22nd president, 33rd, the 11th, the 44th president. Who's going to be the 55th? Could it be you? Could it be Kenel? It could be. Hey, Kenel. Hey, Miss Keisha Boo. Good to see you. Quick. Name the president of the United States. Who's the president of the United States, Kenel? His first initial is J. His second initial is B. That's right. Joe Biden. No matter when you read this book, there's only one right answer to that question. I'm sorry, y'all. I want to make sure I see her. I love Andre Day. Is she singing? Oh, they got Ellen on. Really? That is not going to work. Okay, anyway. No matter when you read this book, there's only one right answer to that question. Because America only has one president at a time. But no matter who holds the job right now, the presidents of tomorrow are always out there somewhere. That's right. That's right, Kenel. Some already know that they'd like to run the country one day. Some already are learning how government works as members of Congress or representatives in state, local, or student government. Come on. She's singing, but we can't hear her. Oh, you're killing me. In 1789, when George Washington became the first president of the United States, there were 9 future presidents already alive in America. 4 of them were working alongside Washington in the nation's new capital. President 2, John Adams was Washington's vice president. Adams was known for having a short temper and getting into arguments. He was the only one of the first 5 presidents who didn't enslave people. Thank you very much, President Adams. President number 3, Thomas Jefferson, served as a Secretary of State. In 1776, he had written the Declaration of Independence, which includes the words, "All men are created equal," even though Jefferson enslaved hundreds of people on his Virginia plantation. President 4, James Madison, had grown up on a plantation in Virginia and now represented that state in the nation's new Congress. Madison wasn't always easy to hear with his quiet voice, and he ended up being America's smallest president. Madison was 5 feet 4 inches tall and only weighed about 100 pounds. Wow! President 5, James Monroe had run for Congress too, but he lost to Madison. Monroe would be elected to the Senate the following year. Like many other future presidents, he had intended to study law in college, but he dropped out to join the Army. At the time of Washington's inauguration, Presidents 6 and 7 were both practicing law. President 6, John Quincy Adams, excuse me, John Quincy Adams, I'll make sure no one's, okay, was about to open his own legal practice in Boston. As a boy, he traveled overseas with his father to ask France for help during the Revolutionary War. President number 7, Andrew Jackson, was living in a boarding house in Nashville. Jackson was the son of Irish immigrants. His father had died before he was born, and he'd grown up with a reputation as an outsider with a furious temper. While Presidents 8 and 9 and 12 were all kids, Presidents 10 and 11 hadn't been born yet. President 8, Martin Van Buren, was 7 years old, helping with chores on his parents' farm in Kinderhook, New York. President 9, William Henry Harrison, was 16 years old and studying medicine. President 12, 4-year-old Zachary Taylor, was living with his 2 older brothers on the Kentucky farmland his father had been given for serving in the Revolutionary War. Come on. Okay, I guess that's it. Snapshots. After 19 years in law and politics, another 23 years before he'd be president, Andrew Jackson was running a Tennessee cotton plantation. He'd been in fights and duels before, but this time it was more serious. It all started when a man named Charles Dickinson accused Jackson of cheating on a horse bet and insulted Jackson's wife. Ooh. Dickinson fired the first shot and hit Jackson close to his heart. Oh, wow. But before Jackson fell, he fired back, killing Dickinson. I never knew that. The bullet that hit Jackson was too close to his heart for doctors to remove, and Jackson would carry it with him all the way to the White House in 1829. Wow. Snapshot. 33 years before he would be president, Abraham Lincoln was on his way to New Orleans working on a Mississippi riverboat full of farm produce. Lincoln cooked, navigated, and did whatever else was needed to help out. 1841. When William Henry Harrison became president number 9, there were 14 future presidents alive. Most of them were already involved in politics somehow. President number 10. John Tyler had worked as a lawyer, congressman, and senator before he was elected to be Harrison's vice president. Some historians have called Tyler the accidental president because he had taken over when Harrison died of pneumonia just 31 days into his term. President number 23. Little Benjamin Harris, who was 7 years old, wasn't actually there for the inauguration, but probably wished he could have seen that moment. He must have been proud when his grandpa, William Henry Harrison, took the oath of office. President 11, James K. Polk, had a setback that year. He had been governor of Tennessee but didn't get reelected. He lost to a 6'2", 125-pound man with the nickname Lean Jimmy Jones. Polk didn't give up on politics, though. He started talking with people about his desire to be nominated for vice president. And little Zachary Taylor, president number 12, was grown up and serving in the military now. Presidents 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 were all serving in government then in 1841. President 13, Millard Fillmore, who'd grown up as a quiet bookworm in central New York, was in Congress. President 14, Franklin Pierce, had been serving as a senator but left Washington in 1841 to go home to New Hampshire at his wife's request. President 15, James Buchanan, was in the Senate in 1841. 16 years later, he would become the only president who never got married. President 16, Abraham Lincoln, was serving in the Illinois legislature then. He'd done lots of other jobs before that. As a young man, Lincoln built things, sold groceries, did farm chores, and rowed a ferry boat. And President number 17, Andrew Johnson, was elected to the state senate in Tennessee. He moved there with a cart and pony way back in 1825, after he ran away from Ruth Taylor, to whom he'd been apprenticed. 1841 also. Presidents 18 and 19 were both in college in 1841. President 18, Ulysses S. Grant, was attending the United States Military Academy at West Point, preparing for his time in the armed forces. President 19, Rutherford B. Hayes, was studying at Kenyon College, preparing for a career in law. He had a reputation as a good cook, even though cooking in student rooms was against the rules. President number 20, James Garfield, was working on an Ohio farm with his brothers and his mom. Presidents 20, 21, and 22 were all busy growing up. President 21, Chester A. Arthur, was in school, but he moved around a lot with his father, a preacher who traveled from town to town. President 22 and later President 24, Grover Cleveland, also had a dad who was a preacher. His family traveled from church to church too. Whenever he could, he snuck away to fish. For President 23, see page 14. Well, we're almost there. Oh, we talked about him. We're on page 18 now. Snapshot. After serving in the Illinois General Assembly and losing a race for U.S. Senate, Abraham Lincoln finally made it to the White House and brought along two goats, Nanny and Nanko. Nanny used to get in trouble for eating blossoms out of the flower beds. Lincoln wasn't the only president with a penchant for pets. Warren Harding had an Airedale named Laddie Boy who used to attend cabinet meetings with the president. When Calvin Coolidge was in the White House, Mrs. Coolidge had a raccoon named Rebecca that she took for walks on a leash. And then there was William Johnson, a hippopotamus nicknamed Billy, a pygmy hippo the president received as a gift in 1927. Billy ended up spending most of his life at the National Zoo. Never knew that there was a pygmy hippo in the White House. Theodore Roosevelt's White House visitors might have met Bill the lizard, Maud the pig, Josiah the badger, Baron Spreckle the hen, or Peter the rabbit. The Roosevelts also had a hyena. A hyena? Really? A barn owl, some ducks in the fountain, and an Icelandic pony named Algonquin, a small bear named Jonathan Edwards, and a handful of snakes. Yeesh. One of the snakes belonged to first daughter Alice, who said she named it Emily Spinach because it was green and thin as her Aunt Emily. Meanwhile, Thomas Jefferson and William McKinley were partial to birds. Jefferson had a mockingbird named Dick who perched on his shoulder sometimes while he worked. And McKinley also had a parrot named Washington Post who could supposedly whistle the song Yankee Doodle. (1897). When President number 25, William McKinley, moved into the White House with his Vice President, Garrett Hobart, there were 9 future presidents alive. President 26, Theodore Roosevelt, was serving as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Hold on one second. Yeah. I hear you, Miss Keisha. Okay. Theodore Roosevelt was serving as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. It might not have seemed very exciting after his wild years as a cattle rancher in the Badlands of South Dakota. Yeehaw! But before long, Roosevelt would get a bigger job. He became Vice President after the death of Garrett Hobart. President number 27, William Howard Taft, was serving as a judge and teaching at the University of Cincinnati Law School. Taft was a big man who had a reputation as a fighter and a wrestler when he was growing up. Other future presidents were also busy with different jobs. President 28, Woodrow Wilson, was teaching at Princeton University and liked to ride his bike around campus. President 29, Warren G. Harding, was running the Marion Star, an Ohio newspaper he purchased with 2 friends. President 30, Calvin Coolidge, was working as a lawyer in Northampton, Massachusetts. He'd learned all about hard work, helping out in his father's general store when he was a kid. He'd worn his hair on the long side in college, but he had it cut shorter when he took the job in law and realized what serious work he could be doing. President 31, Herbert Hoover, had studied engineering in college and was managing a gold mining operation in Australia. 1897, Presidents 32, 33, and 34 were kids then. President 32, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was 15 and loved sailing when his family vacationed in Maine. Roosevelt was a collector too, and he kept detailed notebooks about his postage stamp, bird nest, and egg collections. President 33, Harry Truman, who was turning 13 that year, played piano and loved to read, especially biographies. Aha! I like that. Later on, before he became president, he would work as a timekeeper for a railroad gang and spend time farming cows and pigs. President 34, 7-year-old Dwight D. Eisenhower, was helping out in the family garden with his brothers. The boys also worked at their father's creamery after school. When he had free time, Dwight liked playing baseball and football. Snapshot. Theodore Roosevelt wins the prize for president who had the most adventures on his way to the White House. After he finished law school, he took off for Europe and climbed the Matterhorn in the Alps. He moved out west for a while, bought a ranch in South Dakota, and spent his time riding, roping, and hunting. Even after Roosevelt became vice president in 1901, he snuck off to explore. He was climbing Mount Marcy, the tallest peak in the Adirondacks. And when a messenger arrived to tell him President William McKinley had taken a turn for the worse after being shot by an assassin in Buffalo, Roosevelt left for Buffalo the next day, but McKinley died before he got there. Roosevelt was sworn in as president before he could even unpack his bags. He became the youngest president to take office. 1961, But it was President 35, John F. Kennedy, who was the youngest to be elected to the job. Kennedy was 43 years old when he took oath of office. The next 10 presidents were alive then too, scattered all across the country. President 36, Lyndon Baines Johnson, was serving as JFK's president. That was a fancier job than others he'd held. As a kid, Johnson had shined shoes and picked cotton. After high school, he'd moved out to California to pick oranges and wash dishes to earn money for college. Like that too. President 37, Richard Nixon, had served as vice president under Dwight D. Eisenhower next, but he lost the 1960 election to Kennedy, so he left the White House and moved back to California. Many people think our nation's first televised debates had a big role in Nixon's defeat. TV was new then. Nixon didn't practice as much as Kennedy did, and he also refused to use professional makeup. Even though he'd been in the hospital recently, after the first debate, his mom called him on the phone to ask if he was feeling all right. "I'm fine, Mom." 1961. President 38, Gerald Ford, was serving in Congress. He'd come a long way from his awkward teenage years when he bought his first car, a $75 Ford Coupe with a rumble seat, and promptly set it on fire by covering the hood with blankets on a winter night while the engine was still hot. Oh, brother. President 39, Jimmy Carter, was running a peanut farm in Georgia and serving on his local school board. President 40, Ronald Reagan, was working as a TV host. Before becoming president, he had also announced play-by-play sports on the radio, acted in movies, and served as a governor of California. President number 41, George H.W. Bush, wouldn't lead the nation for another 28 years. But in 1961, he was president of an oil exploration company called Zapata Offshore. And President 42, 43, 44, and 45 were all kids. President 42, Bill Clinton, was 15 years old and going to school in Arkansas, where he loved debate and playing tenor saxophone. In 1963, he would be chosen as a delegate to Boys Nation, where he'd meet President Kennedy and shake his hand. President 43, George W. Bush, 41's son, was 15 in 1961 and attending prep school in Massachusetts. By senior year, he'd signed up for the cheerleading squad. President 44, Barack Obama, was born that year. The son of an American woman and a Kenyan man who'd meet at the University of Hawaii, their little boy would grow up to be the first African-American president of the United States. And President 45, Donald Trump, was then a teenager. He was attending New York Military Academy, where his father had hoped he'd learn some discipline. And where is the next president now? It's exciting to think about it, isn't it? Well, we know he's in Washington, D.C. right now. We just watched him be elected. The truth is, America's earliest presidents weren't all that different from one another. Most were wealthy, white, Protestant men who might have been surprised if they'd been around to see a Catholic or an African-American man elected president, or a woman nominated by a major party for the highest office in the land. But all those things have happened because America is always changing, and it is changing now. When voters choose the next president, they won't look to the past, but to the future, and the ever hopeful vision of what America could be. So, where is the next president? At least 10 of our future presidents are probably alive today. If we go by the odds, 3 of them are likely serving in government somewhere already. One is in college or in the military. 3 probably have other jobs, perhaps practicing law, building things, teaching, running a business. And at least 3 of our future presidents are kids. What are they doing right now? They might be solving math problems or reading books, writing poetry or code, testing a hypothesis or learning to dance, making art or making change. For now, they're busy growing up, growing into the job. Listening, learning, and getting ready to lead. That's right, Kamal, talking about you. Wow, and this is all the presidential birthplaces. And look, there's one in Missouri, and there's one in Illinois. But maybe you will be the first. And here's some more facts about the presidents. Yep, cool beans. That is called The Next President. It's by Kate Messner and Adam Rex. The Unexpected Beginnings and Unwritten Future of America's Presidents. Awesome sauce. Okay, we've got that one down. I got that from the St. Louis County Library. And I wanted to go over this one just in case, because we're curious about the White House. More little facts. And this is by Kate Waters, excuse me. Also a library book. Because we were watching the White House and stuff today, right? So let's learn something about where the president lives. What's the most famous address in the United States? 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The White House, it has been home to United States presidents, first ladies, first children, even first pets for more than 200 years. Come on into the famous building. Come on in. The White House is in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. In 1790, George Washington, the first United States president, and Congress decided that the new country needed a new capital city. It should include a president's house and a building where Congress could meet. The White House is in the 20th century, and this was kind of like what the area looked like of the United States. The city of Washington, D.C. and Columbia. Okay. Washington chose a patch of farmland where the Potomac River flows between Maryland and Virginia. At the time, the United States was very small. This area was at its center. Washington had plans drawn up for a new city. He had held a contest to design the president's house. James Hoban, an Irish-born architect, won. Washington, near the Potomac River in 1795. At the time, Washington, D. was a swamp. Wow. Thousands of mosquitoes buzzed around the hot, muddy place where the White House could be built. Workers had to drain water from the lowlands before they could clear it. It took almost 8 years to build the White House. By then, George Washington had retired and John Adams was president. Floor plans. Here's some of the floor plans from 1803 to 1807. The building was first called the President's House or the Executive Mansion. John Adams and his wife Abigail moved into the President's House in 1800. It wasn't very presidential. It wasn't even fully built. Abigail kept fires lit in every fireplace because the rooms were damp. She hung freshly washed clothes to dry in the unfinished East Room instead of outside where people could see them. In 1812, the United States went to war with Britain. Some battles took place near Washington, D.C., and British soldiers burned the city and set fire to the President's House in 1814. First Lady Dolly Madison is famous for saving a picture of George Washington. It hangs in the White House today. A copy of this painting was saved from the fire. After the fire, the building was painted white to cover the smoke stains. People began to call it the White House. President Theodore Roosevelt made the name official in 1901. This is a burned piece of wood from the White House. Right there. Wow. The White House changed over time. Two covered main entrances, the North Portico and the South Portico, were built in the 1800s. It became more comfortable when plumbing, glass lighting, and central heating were added between 1833 and 1853. President Theodore Roosevelt had the West Wing built in 1902. He had 6 children and needed quite a place to work, a quiet place to work, and receive visitors. This is the South Portico around 1921. And this is the North Portico around 1908. Eventually, the Oval Office was built in the West Wing. It is still where the president works. The Roosevelts in 1903, Theodore Roosevelt was president from 1901 to 1909. President Woodrow Wilson's sheep in front of the South Portico. Wilson was president from 1913 to 1921. The White House has 6 floors and is used in 4 important ways. It is an office. It is the nation's welcoming stage. It is a home. It is a museum. Hundreds of people are in the White House every day. The president, vice president, first lady, staff, and press all have offices there. The president's main office is in the West Wing. It's called the Oval Office because of its shape. There are 2 flags behind the president's desk. One is the flag of the United States. The other is the presidential flag. The vice president also has an office in the West Wing. The presidential seal is molded in plaster on the ceiling of the Oval Office. President Obama was elected in 2008 and again in 2012. Franklin Delano Roosevelt and friends in the Oval Office with his birthday cake. He was president from 1933 to 1945. Wow, that's 12 whole years. How'd that happen? Ronald Reagan was president from 1981 to 1989. This is President Reagan, and this is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and that is President Obama. Reporters have offices near the president so they can keep up with the president's news. The First Lady and her staff work in offices on the 2nd floor of the East Wing. On the South Lawn, outside the West Wing, there is a landing area for the president's helicopter, Marine One. First Lady Laura Bush in the State Dining Room. Her husband, George W. Bush, was president from 2001 to 2009. Looks very pretty in there. Rolling out the rug for guests in the diplomatic reception room. The president greets and entertains people on the ground floor of the White House. Visitors usually enter under the North Portico. Sometimes the president's band plays. These rooms may also be used when guests come to the White House. You can see why they are called the Red Room, the Green Room, and the Blue Room. The diplomatic reception room and the state dining room are used for these events. There can be as many as 140 guests for dinner. Afterward, music, singing, or dancing often takes place in the East Room. The Red Room, Green Room, and the Blue Room. The president and first lady can leave work and go upstairs to their private floor. Each first family can decorate this 2nd floor space, but they can't change much in the rest of the White House. The Obama family watches the 2011 World Cup soccer game at home in the White House. President Gerald R. Ford in the family kitchen. He was president from 1974 to 1977. Look, he's got his toaster out. And there's Malia and Sasha. There we go. President Richard M. Nixon and his family in their White House living room. He was president from 1969 to 1974. Upstairs at the White House, the first family can cook in their own kitchen. They can hang out in their own living room. Children of presidents can invite friends up for sleepovers. It's a home within a house. But of course, there are Secret Service agents guarding the entrance. This is First Lady Nancy Reagan reads mail in the same room. First Lady Michelle Obama jumps double dutch in front of the White House. The first family and their guests can relax outside in the White House pool, shoot hoops on the basketball court, or run around in the jogging track. President William J. Clinton jogs on the White House track. He served from 1993 to 2001. President Lyndon B. Johnson in the White House pool with his grandson and dog. LBJ was president from 1963 to 1969. Inside the White House, there's a bowling alley and a theater for watching movies or TV. The White House is also an important museum. It contains books, china, furniture, art, and other objects that have been given to the presidents or bought for the White House. Abraham Lincoln, who served from 1861 to 1865, never slept in his bed in the room named after him. But guests of the presidents do. This photo is from 1992. Like other rooms in the White House, it has been changed over time. The contents of the White House trace the history of the United States. It is the White House curator's job to research and take care of all these things. On February 14, 1962, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, on the right, gave the very first televised tour of the White House. She played an important part in restoring the White House and getting many of the objects that are in it. Her husband, John F. Kennedy, was president from 1961 to 1963. And this was First Lady Laura Bush in the White House Library. This is washing the White House windows, painting the White House in 1921, getting flowers ready to use in the White House. It takes many, many people to keep a White House with 132 rooms clean and working smoothly. Household staff care for the public rooms. Chefs and waiters cook, serve, and clear meals. Gardeners take care of the 18 acres of lawns and gardens surrounding the White House. First Lady Michelle Obama created a vegetable garden at the White House. That includes the President's Park, which has a vegetable garden famous for old trees and even a more famous rose garden. There is also a children's garden with handprints and footprints of presidential children and grandchildren. And let's not forget painters. It takes 570 gallons of paint to make sure the White House lives up to its name. Hi, Miss Jackie. How would you like to be a first child and call the White House home? I would. Wouldn't it be fun to live in a place with 132 rooms, 35 bathrooms, 147 windows, 412 doors, and 28 fireplaces? Wow! 8 staircases, 3 elevators, more than 2,700 books in the library. I like that part. A pool, a bowling alley, a movie theater, and all that history. Wow, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. What you think about that, Kamal? Yeah. Oh, that's the end of it. But here's the glossary in the back of the book. And here's an aerial view, maybe from the Marine One. Who knows? Yes, cool beans. That is Curious About the White House. This is a book from the Smithsonian, which is a really, really neat museum. Awesome sauce. I got that from the St. Louis County Library. I will be returning it tomorrow, so you can certainly check it out if you like. Thank you very much. So now I have one book. Now, I have two books that I did already read, but I thought they were very appropriate. I'll tell you what, we still have time. I'll go ahead and take a little extra time for today because I think it's a special day because it's an inauguration day. And I think, I did read this one, so we'll do that one last. We'll do that one last because I definitely did read that one. Here's one that I had not read, and it's about our new Vice President, Dr. Kamala Harris. Rooted in Justice by Nikki Grimes and Laura Freeman. Miss Jackie, you wanted to know the name of, was it this one? Curious About the White House? Is that the one you wanted to know the name of? I hope that's the one you were talking about. We read this one, Curious About the White House, and we read The Next President. And this one just came out in 2020. This was just released in 2020, last year. I hope that answers your question. Okay. And this one is Kamala Harris, Rooted in Justice by Nikki Grimes and Laura Freeman. And this is about our new first vice president. Well, I say first woman of color vice president, I should say. All righty, here we go. Eve slammed the door when she got home from first grade. Eve, you know we don't slam doors in this house, her mom said. What's going on? Teacher asked what we wanted to be when we grew up, and I said president. And Calvin said, girls can't be president, stupid. Well, he's wrong, said her mother. Girls can grow up to be president. In fact, a girl from right here in Oakland hopes to be president one day. Hold on, let me see what Miss Jackie said. Yes, Curious About the White House. Yes, ma'am. Life is a story you write day by day. Kamala's begins with a name that means lotus flower. See how her beautiful smile opens wide like petals fanning across the water surface, but you don't see the flower's roots. Her roots, they grow deep, deep, deep down. Let me show you. Kamala's family line was a strong black and brown braid, coiling from India, where her mother, Shyamala, was born, to Jamaica, where her father, Donald, was born, to Berkeley, California, where her parents fell in love and married, to Oakland, where Kamala was born. It was a good beginning. It is like once upon a time, huh? Not exactly, said Eve's mom. But this story is true. Right away, Kamala was like clay. Her parents molded for action. When her mother wasn't hunting for cures for cancer and her father wasn't teaching, both marched for civil rights and went to lectures by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Kamala was right there too, bouncing along in her stroller, chewing on her pacifier and words like peace and justice. What's justice? Eve asked her mom. Justice is another word for fairness. Once, when tiny Kamala was fussing, her mother couldn't figure out what the matter was. What do you want, little girl? She asked. Freedom, said Kamala, and a waterfall of laughter sputtered from her mother's mouth. At demonstration, marchers often chanted, what do we want? And the answer was always, freedom! Little Kamala had been listening. Kamala's baby sister Maya screamed her way into the world when Kamala was 2. In no time, the sisters were having faraway adventures together. like visiting their grandparents in Zambia. Grandfather P.V. Gopalan was a senior diplomat there. He had once fought for the India's independence. His wife, Rajam, Kamala's grandmother, fought for the rights of women. Little by little on these visits, Kamala and Maya learned that fighting for justice ran in the family. Sadly, when Kamala was 7, her family squeezed into a different shape. Her parents divorced, and her daddy moved to Palo Alto, while mommy and the girls packed for the flatlands, back the black working class area in Berkeley. Having a long-distance daddy can make your heart burn, make your heart hurt. But Kamala's new neighbors welcomed her family with smiles and helping hands, warm as sunshine. Still, Kamala sometimes was lonely for her daddy. Luckily, her godmother, Aunt Mary, lived close by and gave Kamala extra hugs whenever she needed them. Like other black and brown kids in the flatlands, Kamala was a part of a California program to integrate the schools. Every day she rode a yellow bus bumping through the familiar streets all the way to the wealthy white part of town with sprawling hillsides painted with gardens. Thousand Oak Elementary was a world away, but Kamala didn't mind. There she got to meet kids who were rich and poor, black and white, kids who celebrated holidays she'd never even heard of. There, teachers taught her to count to 10 in many different languages. You know what? I have read this story. I just realized I have read it. It's okay. Ooh, I can count to 10 in Spanish, said Eve. Who taught you that? Asked her mom. Guadalupe from next door. And Eve smiled proudly. Now I remember I have read this before. It's okay. It's good because it's a perfect day for it today. School let out before Mrs. Harris got home, so Kamala and Maya spent the afternoons at the Shelton house 2 doors down, where Mrs. Regina Shelton ran daycare and after-school programs with posters on the wall of Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, and Harriet Tubman. Mrs. Shelton was a second mother to Kamala, always encouraging her to have confidence. Once, Mrs. Shelton bit into a lemon bar Kamala had made all by herself, accidentally using salt instead of sugar. Woo! Oh, delicious, said Mrs. Shelton. Maybe a little too much salt, but really delicious, she said, never pointing out Kamala's total failure. That day, Mrs. Shelton let Kamala walk away feeling successful, feeling like she could do anything. After school, Kamala's days bulged with busyness. She had homework, piano lessons, ballet classes, and Barbie playtime. Thursday nights were the best, though. The family would go to the Rainbow Sign, a cultural center celebrating Black art, music, books, and film. James Baldwin spoke there, Maya Angelou read there, and Nina Simone sang there. Y'all know Ms. Tracey. Love some Maya Angelou and Nina Simone. Sure do. Maya Angelou's a Capricorn like Ms. Tracey. Nina's gravely voiced version, To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, often rang through Kamala's home. The more she heard this favorite song, the more Kamala thought, I'm young, gifted, and Black too. On Sundays, when they weren't visiting their father, Kamala and Maya rocked from side to side at the 23rd Avenue Church of God, where they tapped tambourines and sang as a part of the children's choir. Fill my cup, Lord, was Kamala's favorite hymn. The church was where she learned the Bible, that God asks us to speak up for those who can't, to defend the rights of the poor and needy, and like some lawyers do. Her Uncle Sherman was that kind of lawyer. Maybe someday Kamala could be one too. I don't want to be a lawyer, said Eve, but I like making sandwiches for the homeless. That's helping too, right? Right, said her mom. In her first year of middle school, Kamala needed a lot of faith. She learned a new lesson about change, a lesson dressed in down jackets and mittens. Her family was moving north, where 12 feet of snow and her mother's new job waited in Montreal. It would be a wonderful adventure, Shamila told her girls, but Kamala grumbled. Then the thought of leaving her friends and the warmth of sunny California made her shiver. I don't blame you, sister. Dr. Sister. It was February and Montreal, robed in winter's sparkling white, felt like it had ice in its veins. Kamala couldn't stop shivering. Worse yet, their new neighbor spoke French, a language Kamala's mother insisted her daughters learn. The English name of the French school her mother had picked for them was Our Lady of the Snows. That's a funny name, said Eve. Maybe, said her mom, but Kamala wasn't laughing. Unfair! Montreal was no place for a lotus flower. Sighing, Kamala unpacked her new clothes and her old experiences. Like marching for change with her mom, one spring day when the temperature rose enough for outdoor sports, Kamala and Maya marched in front of their apartment building, waving picket signs because kids weren't allowed to play soccer on the front lawn. It wasn't fair, and Kamala cared a lot about fairness. The building manager read Kamala and Maya's signs and changed the rules. Kamala adjusted to life in Canada, but memories of her home country still rang in her heart like a bell. After graduating high school, she ached to return to America, where her parents had nursed her on the civil rights movement. She couldn't wait to follow in the footsteps of her heroes, Constance Baker Motley, Charles Hamilton Houston, and Thurgood Marshall. Marshall had attended Howard University, and Kamala decided she would too. On her first day at Howard University, Kamala turned this way and that, smiling at the faces of students from America, Africa, the Caribbean. It was Thursday nights at the Rainbow Sign all over again, where everyone in the room was Black like her. They reminded her of home and the people she wanted to help, the people she wanted to fight for. This university would begin to teach her how. Howard seemed like a perfect place to run her very first campaign. It was for a class representative of the Liberal Arts Student Council. Her competition was tough, but so was Kamala. Every day between classes, she passed out flyers in the campus yard and told any students who'd listen why they should vote for her. When the last ballot was counted, Kamala came out the winner. Daddy says I don't have any competition because there's only one me, said Eve. That's right, said her mom. He should tell Kamala there's only one her. Eve's mom just smiled. Kamala's time at Howard was focused on the future. She competed on the debate team to sharpen her speaking skills. She interned at the Federal Trade Commission. She did research at the National Archives to study the workings of government. And on the weekends, she joined fellow students on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. to protest apartheid in South Africa. Kamala was preparing to be a woman warrior. Like Wonder Woman? Asked Eve. No, better, said her mom. Wonder Woman isn't real. Nothing matched the magic of her second summer break when Kamala stepped through the doors of the private Senate subway as an intern for Senator Alan Cranston. Kamala could barely hold in the secret of her joy. What could be better than learning from someone whose footsteps echoed in the hallways of power every day? After Howard, California called Kamala home to study at the Hastings College of the Law. Court cases and contracts filled Kamala's mind. But changing lives filled her heart. Elected president of the Black Law Students Association, Kamala invited major law firms to a job fair so that Black graduates had a fair chance to be hired by the best companies in the country. This work was a great practice for Kamala's future. Graduating law school meant there was more than one exam to take, the California bar. Without passing it, Kamala couldn't practice the law. She didn't pass, which taught Kamala something new: failure. It is the toughest teacher, but it can also be the very best because it makes you dig down deep and try harder. On the second try, Kamala passed. If at first you don't succeed, said Eve's mom, try again, finished Eve. Kamala was finally ready to climb the mountain of her dreams. First, Deputy District Attorney. Next, the first female District Attorney of San Francisco. Then, the first Black woman Attorney General of California. Peak by peak, she rose, eventually becoming the second Black woman voted to the United States Senate. Lawyer, prosecutor, senator. The little girl named Lotus Flower had turned herself into a person others could call on for help. Did she use magic to turn herself into that person? Asked Eve. No, sweetie. Kamala just used hard work. As senator, Kamala fought for laws to help workers earn more money, joined the Women's March on Washington for equality and civil rights, and telephoned lawyers to help immigrant children who came to America looking for someplace safe to live. Each time she answered a call for help, Kamala proved that her family's legacy of public service was alive and well in her. What's a legacy? Asked Eve. It's like the inheritance you leave behind for your children. Kamala had traveled far, but she hadn't finished climbing the mountains of her dreams. On Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, on the TV show Good Morning America, Kamala told the world, "I'm running for President of the United States." Senator Kamala Harris lives on live on GMA. Rising Democratic star announces presidential run. She immediately got goosebumps, wondering if Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to run for president, that very moment, was still smiling down on her. Months into the race, Kamala realized that running for president cost more money than she thought. And Kamala's campaign team didn't have enough. She decided to give up her run for the 2020 presidential nomination. Sad to leave the race, Kamala looked forward to all the good work she could still do as Senator Harris. That's okay, said Eve. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Exactly, said her mom. Will Donald and Shamala's daughter ever get to call the White House home? Only God knows. Kamala Harris is still writing her America story. And guess so are you. I know what happens next, said Eve. What? Asked her mom. Tomorrow, I'll tell Calvin that he's wrong and he's a doofus. Eve Temple, I taught you better than that, said her mother. Okay, said Eve, her fingers crossed behind her back. I won't tell him. There we have it. Kamala Harris, Rooted in Justice, written by Nikki Grimes and illustrated by Laura Freeman. Awesome sauce. Okay. And I have one more story. Now, this is another book by Kamala and Maya. Maya is her sister, and this was another book about a story that they were when they were kids. And we just kind of read about it a little bit, and they organized how to get their playground to put together in the apartment building that they lived in. So I got this one from the I See Me bookstore, right? Yeah, I got that from the I See Me bookstore. And we might be able to read that one, but I actually, you guys, I gotta go. I'm sorry. And then I don't think I'm gonna have time to read this one, but I did read it before, okay? So you guys can go to the Read to Me, Ms Tracey page. And this was about Joe. It's called Joey, the story of Joe Biden, who is now our 46th president. Yes. And it's written by Jill Biden, the first lady. That's right. And the pictures are drawn by Amy June Bates. Yeah. And we read this story. So if you guys want to you can go back. I don't remember what date it was, but on the Read to Me, Ms Tracey channel, I always put the titles and the authors in the subject heading, I guess it is. But you can always go back and you can hear me read this, okay? Because I would love to have you read the story about our president when he was a little boy and growing up, just like we just read the one about our vice president, Kamala Harris. Yeah, I love this story too. It's a good story. Give me the ball! Give me the ball! At 8 years old, Joey Biden was always ready for the ball. It didn't matter if he was the smallest boy on the team, baseball, football, basketball, whatever. No one was more competitive. One day he ran into a group of older boys playing football in an alley. "You can't catch me," he taunted. He was right. They couldn't. So they welcomed him into their game. Yeah. Awesome. You know what? I'm going to try to go ahead and read it. It's kind of a long story. And I got to go, you guys. So I tell you what. You guys look it up on the Read to Me, Ms Tracey channel, okay? And I promise that book is right there, and I've read it to you guys already. And I really want you to do that because we just did the inauguration, which means the transfer from President Trump. And now President Joe Biden. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, I apologize that I didn't have time to read it. But I thought the other books that we read were really good too, because we talked about the White House, we talked about the presidents, all the way from the very first president to our 46th president. And yeah, so had a good day. I'm also going to be reading some other stories that I don't want to read on the I See Me bookstore page, but I can read it on my channel, Read to Me, Ms Tracey. I thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to read Madam President on the Read to Me, Ms Tracey, because I think we did this one also. I think we did all of these together when we were talking about the elections, right? So cool beans, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's late in the day. Thank you so much. You guys can always go back and, and read it again. Thank you very much. You can always go back and look at the video when you have more time. Thank you, Kenel. Thank you, Miss Keisha. Thank you, Miss Jackie. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you very much to the I See Me bookstore. And thank you very much for tuning in and being a good citizen by reading your books. I'll see you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile. Give a hug, ladybug. Blow a kiss, mwah, jellyfish. I'll see you soon, big baboon. Out the door, dinosaur. Take care, polar bear. Wave goodbye, butterfly. Thank you, everyone. Bye, y'all.